What's up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Draft, brought to you by Badger State Brewing in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It is Monday, February 12th, and that means it's Mock Draft Monday, baby. We're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're still going to go right through my 4-round mock. And if you're new to this channel, to Packer Report, to me, I'm your host, Ross Uglem, the publisher of Packer Report. Been doing Mock Draft Monday for a long time. What's that mean? I do a personal mock. Why do we cut it off at 4 rounds? Well, this year, right now, there's a little bit of question, right? Whether and this, for some of you, you can be like, who cares? And for some of you, it's a big deal, right? The real draft nerds, the guys that get way deep in there, the comp pick thing is big. But right now, based on the size of Allen Lazard's contract with the Jets, the Packers were figured to get an extra pick at the end of round 4. Now, New York made him inactive for a couple games. They didn't play him a ton, didn't throw it to him a ton. Sometimes he's benched. Like, all that has led some folks to believe that there's a potential, right, that Allen Lazard is going to net them a 5th round pick. And that's a full round later. I mean, that's obvious, but those picks come at the end of each round. So you do go all the way from the end of round 4 to the end of round 5. It's significant. Now, in a normal year, if the Packers didn't have picks that they traded for, I might, go to round 5, and I have in the past. Why? When most mocks or 4-round mocks, or most people tell you that guys picked after round 5, and by the way, this is true. I mean, this really is true. They have not much of a chance of even sticking rounds 5, 6, and 7, much less being contributors. But my goodness, man, the Green Bay Packers, you go back to Corey Linsley, but even after him, Aaron Jones, TJ Slayton, Dontavion Wicks, like, they find real football players in round 5. So generally, I would cut a mock off at round 5. And I promise you, if we get clarification that Lazard's comp is going to come at round 5, it'll expand. But right now, Green Bay has 7 picks in the first 4 rounds. Why? How did that happen? Well, they traded Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, and that happens to be their best pick as it pertains to when it is in the round. They pick very early in the second round. They've got the 41st pick in the overall. I believe that would be then the 9th pick of the second round. 32 plus 9 is 41. They also have a 3rd round pick from trading Rasul Douglas to the Bills. People have differing opinions on that, but that is why they have a 3rd round pick. And ultimately, then they do potentially have their own 4 and the Allen Lazard 4. So that is why we are doing a 4-round mock. We will also utilize a national mock in this week. We've got a brand new post Super Bowl mock that's really interesting, and I kind of want to get into some of these ideas and sort of how the Packers view stuff, or how maybe they don't view stuff because of how they kind of handle the 2022 draft. Anyway, it's a mock that I've seen that I'll feature in Mock Draft Monday on Packer Report, and something where I kind of want to break down the idea behind it. The other thing that we're going to do a little bit differently, and that I'm going to start on Mock Draft Monday, so that it isn't just 2 mocks and there we go, is I want to get into something, whether it's feedback that I've been getting, whether it's a practice that the Packers have that I've studied that maybe you guys haven't. And that's not to say, oh, Ross, you're so brilliant. It's like, you guys are watching this because you want to learn, or you're watching this because you want Packers information. I'm going to try to give a little bit that to you. A little bit of that to you. So today I want to talk about drafting for need against drafting for best player available. Now, the Packers have basically said we take the best player available at a position of need, or they'll just say we take the best player available. But if you go back in time, you can see some needs. However, it's not like bulletproof. It's not constant. It's not what they do every single time, right? And I think you just have to go back to last year. You would have thought that Luke Musgrave at 42 overall would have checked the box for tight end. Not going to take, especially you got Tyler Davis, right? That you could re-sign Big Dog. You don't know. This was, of course, before Tyler Davis's injury. Like, people might have thought, okay, they took Luke Musgrave. They haven't gone big on a tight end in a long, long time. No, bang. Pick 78, top 80 pick on Tucker Kraft. So they don't always, do the BPA thing. They didn't really need a wide receiver when they drafted Jordy Nelson. He was their first pick of that draft because, they traded down. They do stuff like this, guys, where did they need a quarterback when they took Jordan Love? I mean, that's the biggest example, right? The Jordan Love and the Aaron Rodgers picks were both not at positions of need. I would argue the pick after the Jordan Love pick, AJ Dillon, was not a position of need. So if you're going to come at me in the mentions, and this is not just like my space to air grievances, but if you're going to come at me in the mentions, be like, oh, really? They're going to take a receiver at 41? They might. Okay. That's the player that's highest on their board. They might. Want me to explain it to you in another, why? Well, he could do something that one of their wide receivers doesn't currently do. Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs are now in year 3, and maybe you don't want to extend one or both of them. I mean, if Watson keeps going with his hamstrings, if Dobbs kind of reaches his ceiling, maybe they want another crack at getting a player with a little bit of higher upside than. And look, I like Romeo just fine, but I think he's a third wide receiver on a good team or in a good group. He's the third best guy now. Dontavion Wicks, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed, he might already be the third best guy. So that's okay. But Green Bay might not want to do an extension for a player like that. And so drafting a guy when he's 2 years away from free agency is not that insane. Okay. And the same thing goes for other positions. Like Green Bay has shown over and over again. I mean, shoot, the offseason, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the offseason that they signed Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, they drafted Rashawn Gary. Okay. And that's the other piece that we don't have to this, right? Is we don't have free agency. So if the Packers go and sign, Geno Stone or Xavier McKinney and Jordan Fuller, they double dip in free agency. They get a box safety and a free safety. Well, safety becomes, maybe grab one in the third round to groom instead of, holy cow, we got to get Nubin or Kinchins or Bullock or whatever. Same thing goes for cornerback guys. If they go out and get Kendall Fuller, and now you can talk me into, okay, well, Kendall Fuller's here. He could play the slot. He could play outside if he's needed. You got Jair Alexander, who's going to be, kind of emboldened and rid of Joe Barry and getting to do more of the things that he wants to do. So that's exciting. So you got Kendall Fuller, you got Jair Alexander. Now, an open competition between Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine isn't so scary. And you don't have to go get Cooper DeJean, or you don't have to go get Nate Wiggins or one of the Alabama corner. Like, you don't have to go do that. You could take just, oh my gosh, this pass rusher fell into our lap, or, hey, we really like this Edgerrin Cooper kid, and we have a round 1 on him. And I'm not saying they should or whatever, but like that kind of stuff can happen, right? Or, hey, we love Jatavion Sanders, and because we were able to handle these needs that we have in free agency, we're going to take one of our picks and get a third tight end H-back type, because we envisioned this role for Josiah DeGuara and it didn't work out. But we think so much of this kid and so much of what he can do for our offense as the 5th receiver or the 3rd tight end that we're going to do that at pick 41. We're going to blow all your minds. And guys, it shouldn't blow your mind that much. Go back and look in the history of things that the Packers have done that have surprised you in the draft, and then to yell at somebody like me and whatever, like I can take it, but to be, oh, they don't, what do you mean? Why aren't any of the players that you're drafting at positions of need? First of all, we don't know what the positions of need are because free agency hasn't happened. Brian Gutekunst said they would be able to dabble in free agency if they see it fit. And I understand what the cap looks like, and it might look like 2025 is maybe the year to spend, but I promise you they can do stuff if they want. And again, like not only have the Packers in years where they've just had the regular amount of picks, 4 picks in the first 4 rounds, done stuff that has freaked you out, done stuff that has surprised you. Not only have they done that, now they have an extra pick in round 2, an extra pick in round 3, and an extra pick in round 4. And you really think that Brian Gutekunst from the school of Ted Thompson, which was from the school of Ron Wolf, is going to go by the book and just check off basic needs on the roster instead of acquiring talent? I'm not buying it. Now, I will certainly hedge towards players that fill needs that the Packers have. Again, we don't know them fully because we don't know if Bakhtiari is getting released. Maybe they release Preston Smith. I don't think they will because of the Enigbar injury, but crazier things have happened. Okay, we don't know what all those things necessarily are, but I will shade toward a position of need. But man, especially for one of those second rounders, if I like a guy, I might just fire on it because I've got the first round pick to use at a premium position and a position of need. And then I still have 2, 3 more top 100 picks plus potentially 2 4th rounders. I just want people to focus more on the talent side of it because it's what Green Bay is going to do. And hey, maybe they go through the draft and they just go by the numbers and take exactly the guys at the positions that you want and do all this. But I'd be surprised if there wasn't 1 or 2 things you go, oh, that's interesting, or that's fun, or what the hell are they doing? Which, by the way, all three reactions are very much things that we have thought, both correctly and incorrectly, after the Green Bay Packers have done some drafting. All right, let's dive into this Pro Football Focus mock, the post Super Bowl mock that we were that I was talking about. I think this might happen. Okay. And what I'm talking about this is, you see right here, quarterbacks 1, 2, 3. I do actually think that's going to happen. We're kind of far away from it. I was early. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I was early on the Jaden Daniels train. I think he is going to be right up there. I don't know if this will be the exact order of the quarterbacks. I would actually take May over Williams. It's just my personal opinion. I think the fact that he wears number 10 and went to North Carolina is going to make it really, really hard after Mitch Trubisky for Bears fans to buy in. I think Bears fans are pretty bought in to the idea of Caleb Williams. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was the actual order, but I really do think New England's going to take a quarterback at 3. I would if I were them. I would roll with Jaden Daniels or Drake May, whichever it was, but I would put my franchise in the hands of Jaden Daniels. He was, when I was not sold on Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels was a popular person for me to post stuff. I think he's going to make it. And I think it's a very specific kind of offense, right? I mean, he's a super athlete, throws it deep. So you got to be careful there as far as who you pair him with as a coordinator. That you can't just try and square peg, round hole the kid. But I think he's special, really, truly, I do. Throws the best deep ball in the class. Caleb and Drake throws the best deep ball in the class. Caleb and Drake included, and is I think probably going to be the fastest quarterback in the class. Now, is that the be all end all? No, but he's a special thrower and a special runner, and he's an accurate passer, and that's important at this level. The other thing I want to pay attention to now as we get to the Packers is, obviously, folks, Jordan Love's the guy. Okay, I've done the whole Jordan Love I was wrong dance. I'm not going to do it forever, but he's going to be the guy. They're going to re-up his deal. He's going to get more money, et cetera, et cetera. He's the guy. And the reason I say that is they're not drafting a quarterback, right? They might, I mean, we didn't think they'd draft a quarterback when they took Sean Clifford. They might try to replace Clifford. I don't think it's happening in the first 3 rounds unless, something absolutely bananas happens, something just super crazy. I don't think they're going to Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, Jordan Love. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen. So what you want then, especially in round 1, is as many quarterbacks to go in front of Green Bay as possible. Because in theory, if the Packers are picking, and this isn't going to happen, the Packers are picking 25 and 20 quarterbacks go ahead of Green Bay, you're going to get the 5th best non-quarterback, or you're going to get even a better player, in your opinion, than that. You want the players that Green Bay isn't going to take to go ahead of Green Bay. And really, you could almost throw wide receivers in that bucket too. If you're really comfortable, and you should be, okay, with Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, and Reed, with Melton and Heath as the 5-6, I'd be really comfortable with that. So if you want, excuse me, some of these other guys, whether it's Mitchell, Worthy, Walker, Troy Franklin, Walker from UNC, Keon Coleman, right? You want some of those guys to jump the Packers at 25, because you'd take one if one fell to you. But man, let's go to realistic town. Let's say 5 quarterbacks go before the Packers pick. With all the JJ McCarthy hype, that could happen. Okay. So if Daniels and Caleb and Drake are going to go, and McCarthy is allegedly going to go in the top 12, that would be 4. Bo Nix could be 5. Michael Penix could be 5. Spencer Rattler, I don't think is going to be, but he had a nice Senior Bowl. You never know who falls in love. If you get 4 wide receivers and 5 quarterbacks to go, that's 9 of the 25 picks, 9 of the 24 picks before you. Now, all of a sudden, you're bored. You're just hoping that your top 16 don't go. Anyway, so Daniels is 3. Let's keep going. JJ McCarthy right there. That's the 4th quarterback. That's okay. It ends up being 4, which is fine. Cooper DeJean, love that. PFF has him as their 8th player overall. I have him as about 12. I think he is Micah Hyde if Micah Hyde was a much better athlete, and Micah Hyde has been an all-pro safety in this league. I think he would be one of the best 5 or 6 nickels in the league the day you started him there. I think he could be a Pro Bowl or an all-pro free safety. I think he could stick at corner, especially if you're going to play a lot of cover 3. I think it would be fine. People have asked me, what kind of pick would you take your pants off for? That would be a no pants. We would not be wearing pants for the rest of the draft. If Cooper DeJean were the pick at 25, if Cooper DeJean's a Green Bay Packer and they don't have to trade up for him, that's a no pants situation. Okay, there goes my guy Keon Coleman right there. Let's roll down to pick 41. Peyton Wilson. That's interesting. So I'm gonna quick then Edgerrin Cooper. So my information, and please understand that this is a whisper of a third hand of a blah blah blah. The only guy so far in this, and we're so early in the cycle, there's been no pro days, no combine, all that chatter. The only guy I've heard anything on in this entire class is that the Packers like Edgerrin Cooper. So I will say this about this draft. I love Peyton Wilson. Right now, he's linebacker 1 for me, and it's by this much over Edgerrin Cooper. From what I have heard, the Packers would take Edgerrin Cooper over Peyton Wilson. You can see Edgerrin Cooper goes at 50 to the Eagles. Green Bay takes Peyton Wilson at 41. That's a non-premium position pick, but you just used the first round pick on a premium position, and it is a position in need, right? Especially if you're going to play. And I will say this about the linebacker stuff, guys. Jeff Hafley's maybe best defensive player in his time from a college standpoint, not necessarily a pro prospect, because I think they've had some other guys maybe get drafted earlier. I'd have to go back and look. From what I have heard, and you guys can even listen to my interview with the 24/7 Sports publisher for Boston College on this very feed on Pack a Day Podcast. Jeff Hafley loves Isaiah McDuffie. Okay, Isaiah played for Jeff at Boston College, and Isaiah had a really, really nice season. I think Isaiah McDuffie is going to be a real part of this defense. Quay Walker is going to be a real part of this defense. Now, if you're going to release Devondre Campbell and replace him with Peyton Wilson, that's fine. I just don't know that they need like multiple linebacker bodies, certainly not in the top 100, because I do think Quay and McDuffie are going to be a part of what they do. And it's still, as Brian said, a 4-2-5 nickel league. So I don't know that they're going to find a way to pull McDuffie off the field by drafting a linebacker super high. And I certainly don't know that they're going to like make it a question of McDuffie's even going to be on the roster by drafting 2 top 100 linebackers. I don't see that happening. Once again, they take Peyton Wilson. I'm totally cool with it. He's linebacker 1 for me. I wouldn't pick a linebacker in the top 41. I wouldn't. Okay. I'd be all over Tyler Nubin right there at safety. I'd probably take Jatavion Sanders before I'd take Peyton Wilson. In fact, I know I would. If you really like Lassiter, I'd probably take Zach Frazier, who's my, second-ranked center, before I would take Peyton Wilson, but I'm cool with that. Going back down, here gets super fun. The Packers pick right there, Jonathan Brooks, Texas. I feel like we're getting closer to medical clearance for Jonathan Brooks, and he'll be RB1 for me, and he'll probably be 5, 6, 7 spots in the overall rankings above Blake Corum, because the one guy in this class that I think is truly a feature number 1 back with no caveats. Can I use him on first down? Yes. Can I use him on third down? Yes. Can he do a little bit of everything and do it well? Can he be the guy? The only guy I really have for that is Jonathan Brooks. Now, there will be guys that end up being the guy out of this class probably. But as far as I don't have any question, like Braylon Allen, I don't think I can use him on passing downs. Blake Corum, he's too small. Trey Benson, he has his own, set of questions about him as far as frame and also some passing game stuff as well, specifically pass protection. Okay, what who can be the guy like a Bijan Robinson or like a Saquon Barkley? Now, Jonathan Brooks is not at that level for me. He's close, actually, kind of to Bijan. I went to the same school. Not that matters from a scouting perspective, but like Jonathan Brooks to me is what kind of Eddie Lacy was when the Packers, not in style, but in like quality. The Packers spent the pick that they did on Eddie Lacy because he was going to be their feature back. Okay, their number 1 guy. Like when the Vikings took Dalvin Cook, same type of deal. I think Jonathan Brooks is the only back in that class where you just kind of go, nope, you're the guy. You're the guy. Breece Hall to the Jets. Breece, you're the guy. The guy that I think this class has is Jonathan Brooks if he gets full medical clearance, which it sounds like we are moving towards. All right, next tab. Okay, said we were going to do something a little different. I am going to make a trade. I know that's a weird place to pigeonhole myself into, and it might not be with the first round pick, but that's the different thing. We weren't doing any trades. We were using the normal PFF mock sim last time. Here, we're going to try to make a trade. and I'm going to kind of look at who wants to trade with me in ways that I think the Packers should potentially be thinking about trading. What's my overall philosophy on this class that leads me towards trading? I really, really like this class from about player 25 to about player 80. And then it's kind of a mess after. Not necessarily a mess, but like guys for sort of specific things. I would like the Packers to pick as many times as possible between pick 25 and pick 90 because they're no longer in the quote unquote premium part of this draft. They're no longer going to get a Dunze. They're not going to get Neighbors. They're not going to get Alt. They're not going to get Fashanu. They're probably not going to get my guy Latu. You know, and if a corner separates himself as truly cornerback one, they're probably not going to be in the mix for him either. So understanding that, and understanding there's a really good chance that whoever they pick at 25 is going to be a guy they have a second round grade on anyway, or a guy that I have a second round grade on. I would like to see the Packers trade some of their later picks to move up and potentially trade their top pick to move back, to just have as many shots between player 25 and player 90 as they could possibly have. That's my personal feeling about this class, being as far into this class as I am. All right, let's start the draft here. Boy, that would be hard for me to pass up, but let's see if we can move down just a little bit. And the reason I say just a little bit is I've got Kool-Aid McKinstry and Ennis Rakestraw, two guys that I have in the 8. Used to be the 7. It's the 8. And I know that the rest of the 8 are available too, because PFF has kind of forsaken my two safeties here, player 50 with Tyler Nubin and player 54 with Cameron Kinchins. But I would go after the corner earlier. It's the harder position to find. I mean, that's why those two safeties are quote unquote devalued. But with two of the corners that I like available, let's see who wants to trade. Boy, the Giants, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks. I don't think we'll be doing that unless I could get 47 from the Giants, and they won't do it. So I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. So we're just going to go ahead back here, and we're just going to take, in my opinion, the best zone corner in this class, and that is Kool-Aid McKinstry. And he's going to play the outside corner. He's going to match up against taller receivers, so you don't have to necessarily have Jair all the time. He's 6'1", longer guy, and he's going to match up against for example, let's say the Packers were playing the Bucks, and now of course he might go somewhere in free agency, but you'd put Kool-Aid on Mike Evans, you'd put Jair on a guy like Chris Godwin. That's the point that I'm kind of trying to make. We are going to draft, though, Kool-Aid McKinstry. All right, we got 4 offers here at pick 41. Man, they just want me to move so far down in this class. 65 isn't even a second round pick, man. So here's what we're gonna do. This will make Packers fans super happy. I'm going to call Tampa, and I'm going to offer both of my third round picks for pick 58. Got a 48%. So there's a coin flip here, and we'll just kind of go down the line. And the point here is as many cracks at this second round as possible. And I'll maybe be trying to add picks again later. But right now, I don't like what's happening with who wants to trade with me. And I have a specific player in mind. I want to get into the second round again. And the Packers blow every third round pick anyway, right? Okay, this was declined. So we're gonna back out of this for right now. As far as the actual pick, this one for me is right probably between Nubin, Kinchins, and Chris Jenkins. And I'm going to go with Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins is interesting, right? Because I've had conversations on this and on other spaces where, excuse me, and on other spaces where I've said, I really want a big guy, right? I want a big defensive lineman. And Chris Jenkins is listed at 6'3", 305, and might not be all of that. Here's what I'll say, though, about Chris Jenkins and Jerzon Newton. They would be the two exceptions to my rule. Chris Jenkins is, in my opinion, even at 299 pounds, 295 pounds, 300 pounds, 305 pounds, whatever he says he is, I don't care. He's the best run defender pound for pound in the country, and I think projects as such at the next level. So I'm not getting a non-run defender. That's my point. Is I don't want sub rushers. I don't want any more sub rushers. Green Bay has Devontae Wyatt, who rushes but doesn't defend the run. Green Bay has Colby Wooden, who's not big enough to consistently defend the run on the inside. Same thing with Carl Brooks, converted college edge from the MAC. Good player, awesome pass rusher, super excited about his future. Don't need him. When I say that I want the noses, your Tavondre Sweats, your big guys, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't want Chris Jenkins, because Chris Jenkins can and does hold up against the run. I don't care that he's at his size, because I think there's pass rush upside there, but I know he defends the run, and I think he projects to defend the run. So that's why he's a top 30 player for me. I'm definitely looking at Graham Barton. Like, he just reeks Green Bay Packer. I'm interested to see how he tests. And then ultimately, definitely paying attention to Newman and Kinchins. Because I think Kinchins can play single high safety, though, I'm going to go with him, because that's something that right now the Packers don't have, and I think Halfley wants. He's a top 35 player for me. I know I'm, going against some people I have higher on this board, on PFF's board, but for me, I'm going to go with Cameron Kinchins. Tough look here. We missed Tavondre Sweat by 2 picks. That is unfortunate. That would have been the defensive guy that I would have really looked at, and really, really like, to play that one tech, that bigger guy. This is easy though. The Packers like Edgerrin Cooper. I like Edgerrin Cooper. This is defense heavy, but I think the other guy that I would definitely look at here would be Kingsley Suamataia. The problem with that is that he's 6'6", 315, and he weighed way more than that, if I remember correctly, at the Senior Bowl. And I think he's a guard for the Packers, and I don't think that the Packers are going to take a guard at that spot. Let me see if I can trade down just a little bit. Oh, I can. Okay, we'll be doing this. The Texans must like somebody. They want to come up 2 spots. So I'm good with this, and I am going to offer this trade. They're not going to give me that, but they're going to give me pick 123. Okay. So we're going to take this. Love that. Okay. They didn't take anybody I wanted. We're still going to take Edgerrin Cooper here, but I'm going to trade, as we said. We want those cracks at the top 100. So we're going to take now what we have, that pick 123. We're going to package that with the Lazard comp pick and see how highly into round 3 we can get. Here's kind of the top of round 3. They're not into that. They don't like that one. That's okay. Let's call our friend Mr. Schneider with the Seahawks. He's not into that either. That's okay. It's all right. Let's call our friend Mike McCarthy here with pick 87. No players, thank you. All right. So that's no one in the 3rd round is really interested in what no one's buying what we're selling right now. They've traded with Cleveland before. Let's go back to pick 86, and we'll throw in. So these are all 4 of our. This is all 3 of our 4s now, us being the Green Bay Packers. We're going to offer this to Cleveland for pick 86. This is great podcasting, I'm sure. They don't want it. Now we're going to offer it to Mike. Mike loves it. We're back in. Okay. Now we're done trading, I promise. It's all over. Back to draft a player. As I mentioned, Edge Cooper. Packers love Edge Cooper. All righty. Let's take a quick look. Now we've got 3 picks in 5, which is a cool spot to be in. I'm very interested in Johnny Wilson. Probably going to end up taking Johnny Wilson. We haven't taken a running back yet either. All right. if we play this the right way, we being the Green Bay Packers, could do a lot of good here. I'm going to skip the Johnny Wilson pick for right now because we're going to take Vaki to play the box safety role. We are going to take Jerrion Jones to play the slot corner role right here, and then either Johnny Wilson or Blake Corum. And if both of them are there, we're going to take Blake Corum. But we're going to take care of our nickel spot right here. And then Blake Corum. And we're done. All right. As enthralling as I'm sure as this was for our audio listeners, here's what happened. Went and took Kool-Aid McKinstry. Really tough draft for the offense. This is absolutely giving the keys to the car to Jeff Hafley and telling Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love to figure it out on the offensive side of the ball. You get your outside corner in Kool-Aid McKinstry. He enters an immediate competition with Carrington Valentine and Eric Stokes. Cameron Kitchens plays free safety. The Packers, we then moved around a little bit in round 2, moved back to take Edgerrin Cooper. He probably starting at Mike with McDuffie at Sam, and then Quay at Will. Vaki is a player I really like. He's going to play box safety, going to make a lot of plays. Actually tried out a little bit at the Senior Bowl at running back, which was interesting. Then we've got our slot corner in Jerrion Jones and our Aaron Jones ultimate replacement in Blake Corum. So we still ended up taking 6 players. We could have taken 7, but we took them all in the top 90, which is where I think the strength of the draft is. All of these players are inside my top 90, and Kool-Aid is kind of above the group that I was talking about, and Kitchens is right there. So for me personally, right, we took 6 guys in my top 90. That's a lot. And we're super, super happy with the way this thing turned out. Probably heavy on offense then in round 5, 6, and 7. Hopefully somebody on the offensive line, a late, another Zach Tom, right? Another David Bakhtiari, another JC Treader, even another John Runyon Jr., as much as people wanted to run him out of town. Okay. I get that this is a super defensive heavy draft, but this is how the board kind of fell for me today. And again, this is so much talent, so much playmaking in that back end. And you just saw an unbelievable Chiefs secondary win the Super Bowl. We get an outside corner in Kool-Aid. We get a free safety in Cam Kitchens. We get a box safety in Sione Vaki. We get a linebacker in Edge Cooper. We get a nickel, a real actual nickel to deploy against people in Florida State's Jerrion Jones. For the offense, you get one Blake Corum. Sorry, Matt. Sorry, Stano. Sorry, Jordan. But today is the defense's day. Then we'll start drafting offense once the defense goes from like 27th in the league to 12th. And Goody can get a little credit, and Hafley can get a little credit. All right, that is all that I have for today. For you wonderful people, I know this was kind of a jumpy episode. It's probably going to be much better for the video people than it is for you guys listening. I hope we were somewhat cognizant of that. But man, I really appreciate all you guys for sticking with us. This is a longer episode, and the Mock Draft Monday ones might be a little bit longer. How can you help us out? Check out Packer Report. If you want to become a VIP, we would truly appreciate that. There is an option to just try the first month for $1. You can kind of see what we're about. Mark Eckel has a really cool series going on right now where an NFL scout is sort of breaking down Green Bay's roster. And that's really cool because this is a real NFL employee and his real opinion of what Green Bay has at each different position. I'm doing VIP stuff. Andy's doing VIP stuff. When Dusty comes back from vacation, he'll be doing VIP stuff. And like I said, the first month's $1, so come check us out. Other than that, buy the Green Bay Draft Guide, powered by Packer Report. It's an awesome guide. We've really done a lot of research into like who the Packers actually want to take. So it's not just a ranking of players. It's okay. Does this guy really fit not only what Green Bay needs and what fans think Green Bay needs, but does this fit historically what they've done? And it's important to understand the history because Ron Wolf taught Ted Thompson, who taught Brian Gutekunst. This is a pattern. And you can have your arguments with whether or not you think that pattern has worked. I would say the last 2 drafts have been pretty spectacular, but it is a pattern. And we've been validated in these thoughts and these testing thresholds and kind of what we think they might do over and over again, especially with that draft guide. By the way, 10% off that draft guide if you want. promo code DAILY, DAILY, as in the Daily Draft. Like, subscribe, do all the wonderful things you're supposed to do right here at the Pack a Day podcast. Have a wonderful Monday, folks, and go Pack Go.